There are two little short stories about Mr. Midkiff that I thought maybe should have been included in that book. We had always heard what a good man he was. There would be cowboys who would come into Midland and they wouldn't have a job cowpunching yet, and he'd put them up in the hotel until they got a job and take care of their family. And we were always hearing stories like that. But I think it may have been either the summer of 37 or 38. I was at the big house with my grandparents, and Mr. Midkiff called and he said, "I'm going down to the ranch. Would you like to go see Sam?" And I said, "That's wonderful, sure." And so he came by and got me, and he had a big sack of fruit and candy and canned goods. This was hard times. It was Depression years. And he stopped at each one of the kids, of his children and their families, and left a sack of goodies. He stopped at Dick's house, and he stopped at Hunter's, and we got on down to the ranch, and we talked all the way, just a storm. And we got on down to the ranch, and he looked down and he said, "I drove down here in low gear." He said, "I had other things to think about." And I thought that was really sweet of him. I always did remember that, because Sam and I weren't even engaged. We were just going together.
Cool.
And the other one...
Hold on for a second. The dryer's still on. Do you know how to turn off that dryer?
Is it still cool?
Yeah, but she turned off the washer, but the dryer is still going clack, clack, clack. It's all going to come up on here, so...
You want to do it again?
No, we don't have to.
Now that's more quiet.
Yep. I hit the wind chimes. Sound effects. Oh, I guess we're still recording anyway, so...
And the other one that I think everybody should know about was when our money and everything was all tied up in court. It was in something the judge could turn it loose, but he hadn't yet. And it was getting time for me to go back to college. And Mr. Midkiff offered to pay for my last year at college. We didn't have to take him up because the judge turned loose $600 for me to do my senior year on. But he offered to do it. That's it.
Well, that's cool. This is T.O.? No, who are you? It's T.O. you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sam's dad.
Well, that's cool. And there was a book that came out about him? Is that what?
There is a book that I'm giving everybody for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought these tours should be included. But since they weren't, I thought you could just make a little type page and we'd put one in each one of the books.
Okay. Well, that sounds cool.
There's the book.
Oh, I saw this on your table.
I got one for each one of the grandkids. They're your Christmas presents.
A daughter? Is Sam's sister, or is she a granddaughter?
Mary Lou?
Yeah.
She's daughter-in-law.
Daughter-in-law.
No, John's daddy was Hurd. So she's granddaughter-in-law.
Granddaughter-in-law.
There's one in there. Marcelle and Sam, real young.
Most of the stories in there are, the facts she tells about ranching and things like that are true. It's well researched and well done.
Mm. That's cool.
Well, she spent about $10,000 doing it, and I thought I should buy a few of the books.
Well, that's great. Thank you. How much did they cost? I don't even have to tell me, I guess.
It doesn't matter. They were $30 a piece.
Yeah.
30 or 35.
To self-publish. Yeah.
She published them herself, yeah.
Okay.
But I don't do shopping very much anymore, and so it's good for me to find something I think I can do for Christmas for people. And I'm sure that someday everybody will appreciate those.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's cool. Well, any other stories you want to tell us?
I don't know of them. Of course, I know stories by the million, but I don't know any that are particularly appropriate.
Did you after you graduated from college? What happened then? Did you get married immediately, or what happened? Did you get a job? Did you go back to the ranch?
I was thinking about going to California and doing advanced costume design study. And when Sam heard about it, he proposed.
Lit a fire under him. Huh?
He didn't want me to go to California. He thought it was full of queers. And I graduated in May, and Sam came and my mother came. And incidentally, there's a little story connected there. The night that Sam got there, I decided that I was finished with college. My grades were made. I was getting my diploma the next day. I'd just stay out all night. And we were supposed to be in the dormitory in our room with the door lights off at 10 o'clock.
Uh-oh.
Well, when I came in the next morning about breakfast time, the house mother says, "I guess you know, Miss Midkiff, that I can withhold your diploma for this stunt." But she didn't. And seniors did all kinds of wild things, not like they do nowadays. But one of the art majors painted flowers around all the pop seats in the two bathrooms.
That's awesome. That's cool.
But I went home with Sam after I graduated.
Mm-hmm.
My mother went back to the valley. And Wally Borgeson and Evelyn House, Monty House was Sam's best friend in college. And Evelyn was his sister. And this was her boyfriend. And they were going to the valley with me. So we went by Sam's together. And he was shearing sheep. And we stayed out there, 4 or 5 days. And that's when Yang the little fox ran across the cake. Have you heard that story?
No, I haven't.
Well, Sam had this pet fox, and he called him Yang. Well, he got loose in the house. And Evelyn and I were busy fixing dinner, and I had baked a cake, and I had the 2 layers of cake laying over here waiting for the icing. And I was washing the dishes as I went along, so the sink was full of dishwater. And we were having corn on the cob that day from the field, and there was a cube of butter on the table out on the porch where we were going to eat. Yang got up on the table, got that cube of butter, ran in the kitchen, jumped up on the cabinet, swam through the dishwater, tracked across my cake, ran across the rest of the cabinet, jumped down on the floor, ran in the front bedroom, and ran under the bed.
All with the stick of butter?
All with a stick of butter. Finally, Sam crawled under there and got it, and we washed the butter off because that's all we had.
Yay, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, he gave yay to somebody else before we got home from our honeymoon. I don't know whatever happened to the little monkey.
That's funny.
And see, that was in May, and so I stayed down at the valley, and that's when I met Mac. Mac was a theater operator, and we didn't not date. Sam and I had always dated when we were apart. We didn't pay attention. I had an engagement ring. Mac says, "What about that ring on your finger?" And I said, "Well, I have 9 fingers left." And so he would come and get me just before he ran the last show, and I'd see that show, and then we'd go across the border and have beer and tacos. You could have a Mexican beer, came in half-size bottles, and we'd have beer and tacos and go dancing, and then come back over across. And
What town was this in?
Weslaco.
Weslaco.
Just across from, I don't remember the name of the town just across from it, but anyway, there's a town right there within 10 miles across the border. And there was another guy, his name was Paul, and I found out after I dated him a few times that he was really in the process of a divorce, but he wasn't divorced. there was a 20-30 club, and they had a dance there Saturday night for the young couples that were between 20 and 30, and you didn't have to be married to be in it. And those two guys were in it, so we'd go to those dances, and they'd hold them out on the patio under the palm trees. It was fun. And that was, I went down there in May, and then Sam had his tonsils taken out because he'd been sick with his tonsils again. And pretty soon after that, well, he drove to San Antonio, and I rode the bus up there to see him that weekend, and that was sometime in September or October. And then he came down to the valley about the 20th of November to get ready to get married. And we married and borrowed his mother's car, and she went back to the ranch in our pickup.
Nice of her.
And we went to Houston and Galveston and Austin on our honeymoon to those three towns. And then we went home.
How long was your honeymoon?
4 or 5 days, probably all he could afford. Sam signed up in Houston, Mr. and Ms. Midkiff and wife.
How many?
all three of you.
David took me by to see that hotel where we stayed when we were in Houston.
Cool.
At first, last time we saw it, when we were all over there, that Thanksgiving we spent, when Sherry was living in Houston, we spent a Thanksgiving over there, and the old hotel was boarded up then, and I thought they were going to tear it down, but it was one elegant building, and now they've converted it into lofts, apartments, and we drove by, but we didn't have time to go in.
Cool.
You didn't have the thing on all the time, did you? I thought I was